very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, on behalf of the company, we would like to welcome all of you to another VOOV meetings. Now, today we are going to have a very special guest that is going to share with us on CV8. This is a special invited guest, and of course, before I start off, just welcome all of you, especially those new people who are attending our VOOV meetings for the first time. And of course, a very good evening to also all the leaders as well as our members. Now, before I start off, let me just share with you something about ginseng. We know that ginseng is, the computer hanged a bit. Let me just reshare again. As you know, ginseng is actually very well known in Asia, not only in Asia, in many parts of the country, because we all know that if you can eat ginseng, it is actually very good for our health, overall health. And of course, ginseng also is very famous for its medicinal properties as well. And it is also famous, if you take a lot of ginseng, it is also well known for, prolong your life and keep you healthy as well. Now, of course, there is a lot of history proving that this ginseng is actually very good. Let me just share with you some of the example. After consuming this ginseng, it actually helps to prolong your life. Now, a very good example is actually this guy, okay, called Emperor Qianlong. Definitely it's not me lah, okay. This emperor, during the Qing dynasty, the average age for emperor is about 39.2 years old only. But this particular emperor called Qianlong, he is actually the longest living emperor in China history, and he lives until at the age of 89 years old. If you talk about during that particular time, if you talk about you can live up to 89 years old, it's already considered very long already. And the reason he can live until so long is because he ate wild ginseng 359 times. Okay, this is actually one of the example. And of course, the second example is actually King Yongzhou from the Joseon dynasty of Korea. And in Korea, if you talk about Joseon dynasty, he actually lived longest as well. Okay, he lived until the age of 81 years old. And that is because he had eaten 10 kg of wild ginseng every year when he was 72 years old. Okay, and of course, if you talk, do you know this guy? Okay, his name is actually Cao Yifu. Cao Yifu. He is a very famous Hong Kong entrepreneur, and he is also founder of this Hong Kong TV channels called TVB. And he lives until the age of 106 years old in this modern time. What is the main reason? The secret is actually in his mid-50s, he actually took wild ginseng every day without fail. And in his late 60s, instead of taking ginseng, he actually put a thin slide of wild ginseng under his tongue every day. That is their secret. That is why there's a lot of examples showing that after consuming ginseng, it actually helps to keep you healthy and prolong your life. But the problem is a lot of us do not consume it. Why? Mainly because of the cost. Now, if you talk about, this is just for your information, if you talk about 2019 wild ginseng price, if you just talk about the American wild ginseng, there is 3 types of wild ginseng in the world, okay? American, Korean, and also Chinese. Now, American is not the best wild ginseng, but it is still quite costly. If you talk about 1 pound of American wild ginseng, it will cost about roughly around 550 to 800 USD per pound. Yeah. And of course, this is how the 40 years old American wild ginseng looks like. Okay, it is also very costly. Even the Chinese wild ginseng is very costly as well. This is an example of 65 years old Chinese wild ginseng. Now, if you talk about today, 65 years old Chinese wild ginseng will cost you around 558,000 USD. Now, because of all this, the wild ginseng are very valuable and very scarce. Now, that's why the price is so expensive. That is why a lot of people cannot afford to take this ginseng. But of course, today I have a good news for you. Now, with this particular product called CV8, okay, it is actually an 80 years old wild ginseng stem cell. And with this CV8, now you can take you can enjoy the benefits of this wild ginseng. And the most important thing is that you can enjoy the benefit of it at a very reasonable price. Now, to explain to you on what is this CV8 all about, how it can benefit us, today we actually have a very special guest with us to share with us on this CV8. Now, this special invited guest, his name is actually Dr. Ashvin Gobinathan. Okay. Now, let me just give you a brief profile on who is this Dr. Ashvin. Okay, Dr. Ashvin is actually a senior medical doctor with more than 12 years of experience. He has served both government and private medical sectors in Penang. Besides his modern medical practice, Dr. Ashvin is very passionate about functional, preventive, and nutritional medicine. He also strongly believes in naturopathic, antioxidants, and photobiomodulation therapy. It is notable that Dr. Ashvin is actually a well-known speaker at many community projects, health forums, as well as medical conference. That is why this is a very special guest that we invite him to share with us based on his medical professional experience. How can this CV8 actually help us? Okay, so without wasting more time, I will pass my the talk to Dr. Ashvin. Okay. Okay, Dr. Ashvin, I will pass everything to you.
Andrew.
Good evening. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well. Had your dinner. And so with the current coronavirus situation, we have to kind of accommodate to webinars and talks in a different form of presentation. But I think it's for the benefit of everybody, and hope everyone is doing well. And during these difficult times, we all went through the MCO, and yeah, so please do still maintain your SOPs and your hygiene practices when you go out. But in order to support the right thing to do, we still want to pass over medical information to you in a safe manner. So a little bit about myself. I'm running a clinic in Penang, and the clinic has been operating for the past 40 years. So we hope to share as much information with people regarding different options, both from allopathic point of view, Western medicine, as well as alternative practices as well, and encourage people to live a holistic, balanced lifestyle. So today the talk will be on something quite interesting. The talk will be on something which has been around for between 4,000 to 7,000 years. It's a very interesting topic. We're going to be talking about wild ginseng. And we're also going to be talking about another topic which is also very interesting in the medical field. Currently, a lot of research going on into it, and that is into plant stem cells. So I'll be talking briefly about both these topics, and I hope you do enjoy. So this is how the ginseng plant looks like. So wild ginseng has been around between 4,000 to 7,000 years, initially found in China. and considered to be something very exclusive. Only, as Andrew mentioned, the royal family, the emperors, they were the ones who were accessible to ginseng. Ginseng was generally not easily accessible in the first place. So ginseng comes from the Chinese word renshen, which means the essence of man. And when you talk about ginseng, we normally refer to ginseng as Panax ginseng. So Panax means all healing, or panacea, that means a cure-all for everything. The emperors of China, they wanted to live a long life. They wanted to live a very youthful life. And the first emperor of China was Qin Shi Huang. So he sent his troops to Korea to find wild ginseng, and he wanted that to be the elixir of immortality. He wanted to live a very long, fruitful life, but unfortunately, he died at a very young age because his advisors were telling him to try out different things, and one of the things that he accidentally tried out was mercury pills. So fortunately for us, we don't have to go through this experience of having to trial and error and experiment out different supplements or medications, because the scientists and the researchers have already done that for us. So to find out this fountain of youth and all these things that can benefit our health, it's all laid out for us. So this is the emperor, Qin Shi Huang, and you can see he's very determined to find out the secret to immortality. So even in France, the upper class in the 19th century, about 200 years ago, they also recognized ginseng as a beautiful plant for eternal youth. And currently, ginseng is a $2 billion industry. More than 50% of the global ginseng market comes from Korea, and Korea is the largest distributor of ginseng in the world. So there are three types of species of ginseng. There's the Korean ginseng, the South China ginseng, and the American ginseng. And the Korean wild ginseng, not the cultivated farmed version, is the strongest of the three variants. It has the most invigorating properties. So as you can see, the plant of the ginseng, it's got a fruit at the top, followed by the leaves, a stem, and the roots at the bottom. So ginseng is classified into three different types. There's the fresh ginseng, which is usually under 4 years old, white ginseng, which is 4 to 6, and red ginseng, which is more than 6 years old. So today we're going to be discussing about red ginseng. So scientists in Korea have discovered wild ginseng stem cells through many years of research, about 12 years of research. And this comes from a 70-year-old plant. So just going back to this slide, you can see how ginseng is classified into 4 years old, 4 to 6 years old, and 6 years old as the guideline for classification of ginseng. So the 70-year-old plant is significantly older than those classifications, and this cost about 50,000 USD at that time. The stronger the ginseng is based on how old it is and whether it's wild or cultivated. So like human beings and plants, human beings and animals, they can move around, but plants, they are fixed in one area, so they have to survive in that area. So in order to survive, they have to use many different elements. They have to keep on trying to adapt themselves in order to survive. So this makes the plant stronger, the cells more resilient, and they keep on readapting themselves again and again in order to survive. So the Ginsenosides, which is the beneficial property inside the plants and inside the wild ginseng, is the one that the higher concentration of it, the older the plant is. So this is the picture of a 70-year-old wild ginseng. So what makes ginseng so special? Ginseng is an adaptogen. Adaptogen means something that can adjust the immune system. It helps the body adapt to different kinds of stress. So adaptogen in general is an immunomodulator. That means that if our immune system is down, it brings it up. If the immune system is overactive, it calms it down. So environmental stresses, internal stresses, various kinds of stresses that we face on a day-to-day basis, an adaptogen is something that helps us to face the stress at a better level from a cellular level. So our endocrine or our hormonal system, our immune system, and our neurological system, which is the brain and the spine, all are dependent on environmental changes, and the adaptogen helps it to manage these changes. So it helps it to counteract stresses that we face. And the damaging effects of stress is most likely one of the main causes of disease and aging. So according to a doctor who's a functional medicine practitioner, he said that ginseng is the most potent adaptogen and the most well-known adaptogen. So now we're going to talk about ginsenosides. Ginsenosides is very, very important when it comes to ginseng. There are about between 40 to 100 different types of ginsenosides inside ginseng, and they are known as saponins, or they are the active compound of ginseng. So they're the ones that contain the therapeutic and the medical properties that help ginseng to have all its various health benefits, including anti-inflammation, anti-cancer, to reduce forgetfulness and dementia like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, to reduce tiredness, fatigue, to manage high sugar, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. So a Korean company named Plantel. This company in Korea, they have managed to extract the rare form of ginsenoside, and this is only found in wild ginseng. The cultivated farm version, which is more commonly available, and like when you go to a Chinese sensei and you get the slices, those are the cultivated farmed versions. But the rare versions, which people have to search for on the mountaintops, they only contain specific types of ginsenosides, which is only found in the wild ginseng variant. So in general, cultivated ginseng is an 8 million kilogram production per year, as compared to wild ginseng, which is only 6 kilograms a year. So significant difference between the accessibility to both. So most people in Korea, China, and elsewhere won't be able to access wild ginseng easily, and the price is exorbitant. Yet wild ginseng contains the highest concentration of the medicinal properties, the ginsenosides. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about stem cells before we go into the benefits of ginseng. Stem cells is one of the major advances and the future of medicine. So using stem cells, doctors, researchers, they can multiply and replenish cell types from one cell type. They can multiply it and make other cell types. So it can be used to rebuild, repair various kinds of tissues and organs. And Singapore is one of the leading Southeast Asian countries which is involved in stem cell research. So they have used it to treat leukemia, cancer, stroke, sports injuries, autism, hair loss, erectile dysfunction, and diabetic foot ulcers. Singapore has invested about 75 million into the research of stem cells, and this big building over here is the Center of Bioresearch in Singapore. So stem cells have been around for quite some time. They're not something that is that new. Charlie Chaplin was also using it. He fathered 10 children, and the last child was at the age of 73. So up till now, stem cells have been a very expensive affair. For example, there's a clinic in Switzerland, which a 1-week retreat with stem cell therapy is about 150,000 ringgit. And this is the clinic in Switzerland. So now plant stem cells is fairly new technology. Up until now, there's a lot of focus on human and animal stem cell, and plant stem cell was something that was very difficult for people to reproduce at an effective rate. But this company in Korea has managed to figure out how to isolate and utilize the undifferentiated cells, which is located in the meristem of the plants. This is actually where the plant vitality comes from, the plant energy comes from here, and these are the precursor cells, meaning undifferentiated, meaning they're the cells before a tissue becomes differentiated into a specific function. They are like the original cells of the tissue, like the baby cells of the tissue. So this acts as the trigger to stimulate cell division, and how cells multiply. They multiply from the precursor cell, which is the undifferentiated cell. So we're talking about a technology called CMC. The The CMC is the cambium meristematic cells, and this is a fairly new technology, and this is known as the immortal cell of the plant, which I'll explain later. This has been around for about 160 years, but no one has managed to be able to extract this technology. And now it has been able to be extracted and utilized. So the thing about CMC is it continuously regenerates again and again and again. It doesn't age, unlike human or animal stem cells. So Plantel is currently the only company that is successfully isolated and cultured CMC, and its technology is patented, and it owns 72 patents. So the CMC is actually the upper part of a plant cell, and there's no aging even for 1,000 years. It's the undifferentiated cell, and it contains smaller vacuoles than the older technology, which is the Callus technology or the DDC technology. And that makes it much more easier to be cultured. And it's a very stable form, and it can be massively reproduced. So it's something like a 3D printer where it just keeps replicating trillions and trillions of cells, but it still is maintaining the originality of the original stem cell in the stem cell bank. It does not change. So this is an example of CMC. As you can see on the picture on the left, the CMC has a lot of small vacuoles, and this makes it easier to be cultured as opposed to the previous technology, which is the DDC technology, and that is one single huge vacuole. So CMC technology is very high in antioxidant. Antioxidant is something that our body needs to fight off disease, illness, and aging. And CMC has about 30 to 50 times more antioxidant property than DDC. And the clusters in the cells are very small, so it carries oxygen. Oxygen is something that is used to treat various health conditions, like even sports players, they also use oxygen to treat themselves. And hypoxia is when they have less oxygen in the center of the cell. So the less hypoxia in the center of the cell, the more oxygen carrying capacity of the cell. Also, CMC has better nutrition, can handle stress better, and there's no genetic mutations. In human and animal stem cells, there's a risk for genetic mutations, genetic variation, and there's also a risk of the host rejecting the stem cells sometimes. So this is one good thing about CMC. And it has a very fast growth rate, and the starch, which is the energy of the plant, is very high in starch. And it also is very high in mitochondrial metabolic activity. So the older technology, which is existingly used in health products and cosmetic products, is the DDC technology. This is an existing technology, and it is some sort like a pseudo stem cell. It's not a real, actual, effective kind of stem cell. So this is the already differentiated cell, known as the dedifferentiated cell, which is prone for aging and death, and low mitochondrial activity, low oxygen carrying capacity, and the vacuole is very large, so it's not easy to culture this. So this is a comparison between DDC technology and CMC technology. As you can see, the CMC technology does not have genetic variations. The vacuole is very small, and the cell viability is very high, and the growth rate is very fast. It's also a very stable compound. So Plantel has managed to extract this technology. As you can see here on the left-hand side, the CMC does not change. Consistently after so many days, the CMC maintains, and it does not get aged with different subcultures. But if you compare to the DDC, you can see the aging component. The color of the cell and the cell appearance starts to change. So Plantel is essentially a research institute. Their focus is on research, and they are focusing on cell vitality and molecular genetic research. So they're providing world-class technology to enhance life and improve the quality of life. They are currently working with the Chinese Academy of Sciences, the highest authority of research in China, and they also have scientists from Korea, China, Australia, UK, and the US. They have about 20 years of experience in DNA testing and artificial intelligence, and their concept is taking technology, creating an ingredient, coming up with a formula, and making it effective and safe. So this research for CMC started in around 2005, and they have a stem cell bank for the 70-year-old plant of wild ginseng. So they culture the cells. After they culture the cells, they feed it with special vitamins and minerals, a secret formula that gives a lot of nutrition to the plant. Then they put it in these specific bioreactors. And from culture until production is 1 month period. Now, each of these bioreactors are capable of producing 75,000 roots per tank in 1 month. And they have about 100 bioreactors. So this is a picture of how each bioreactor looks. It's a 250-liter bioreactor, and they have about hundreds of this. So they can produce something like about 1 million roots per month. So this makes something which is very exclusive into something which is much more easier accessible, and they are planning to target about 10 countries and 20 million people. So the practical aspect of stem cell technology, it's now very, very much more affordable. It's not running in the thousands or in the hundreds of thousands. It's much more affordable than that, and it's accessible to a larger group of people. And there's also an ethical component. These plant stem cell concept of preserving the CMC, it can actually help endangered plants that are getting wiped out. Like now, there's a lot of deforestation going on. So there's a lot of forests that are being cleared away, and a lot of plants in the forest actually have medicinal property. So they can actually protect the endangered species using this technology, preserve it, and then extract out the medicinal property of that. There's also no genetic modification. It's not like corn or soya, which now we experience a lot of genetic modification. And there's no risk of disease. There's no risk of contamination, no chemicals used, no toxins, or no heavy metal risk. So it's all natural, it's safe, effective, and it's standardized. Every batch is exactly the same, and it can be distributed worldwide. So some of the benefits of ginseng is what I'm going to be talking about next. So ginseng has got quite a number of benefits. There's about 47,000 published articles on ginseng. A lot of articles done on the cardiovascular benefits, diabetes, Alzheimer's, erectile dysfunction, epilepsy, metabolic diseases like high cholesterol, heart disease, and diabetes, depression and anxiety, HIV and AIDS, gastritis, cancer, pulmonary disease, eye disease, neurotoxicity, and antioxidant benefit. It also helps for immunosuppression, people with low immune system, anemia where they have low hemoglobin, insomnia where they have difficulty sleeping, obesity, male infertility, fatigue or tiredness, and osteoporosis where the bones are brittle. So some of the clinical studies that have been conducted by Plantel involves patients who have had stomach cancer, lymphatic cancer, lung cancer, rectal cancer, bone metastasis of cancer spread to other organs, hepatitis C, and HIV. So for example, how ginseng helps in diabetes mellitus, for example, which is a very big problem in Malaysia. So it helps by increasing the ability of the insulin to take the glucose out from the blood and put it into the cells, and then the sugar goes into the cells and reduces the level of sugar in the blood. So this reduces diabetes and the complications of diabetes. For cancer, it works in many different ways. One of the ways that it works is it has an anti-tumor effect. It increases something called natural killer cells or the NK cells. The NK cells are something that is actually part of our immune system. And even for the coronavirus, NK cells is actually our body's defense that is used to fight off the virus when the virus enters into the body. So the natural killer cells are a form of our immune system, and it has an anti-cancerous effect by inducing cell death of the cancer cells and prevents the spread of the cancer. It also works by blocking off the blood supply. Cancer tends to leach blood supply and make itself bigger and bigger. So it works by working on different angles of the blood supply to cut off the blood supply. And once the cancer cell's blood supply gets cut off, the cancer cells die off. For cholesterol, it cuts down the fat cells, and the fat cells are the ones that store the triglyceride. Triglyceride is one of the components of high cholesterol, which blocks up the arteries and can lead to heart disease and stroke. So it reduces the triglycerides and hence reduces the cholesterol. In heart disease, it has an antioxidant effect. It changes the way the blood vessel works, and this helps to reduce the platelets being stuck inside the blood vessels that influence certain ion channels, and this helps the blood to flow easier, and also it reduces inflammation to certain parts of the heart where the heart is damaged. In Alzheimer's is a form of dementia where people have forgetfulness and some motor function problems. It reduces the inflammation and it reduces something called amyloid beta proteins, which is in the brain, and this protects the brain, improves the memory, and improves the function of the person. For stroke patients, it reduces the swelling in the brain and reduces the stress inside the brain, reduces all the inflammation, and has a protective effect for the brain, and also improves learning and memory. In osteoporosis, it promotes the bone growth and increases the bone to be stronger. So this is an example when a person experiences stress, environmental stress, internal stress, any forms of stress. So the ginseng actually works in a part of the brain called the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is linked to another part of the brain called the pituitary, which produces hormones that work on the adrenal gland. And it starts to balance out the immune system in the adrenal gland. And this helps the inflammation and also reduces the inflammation and prevents cell death. And it helps to stimulate things like T lymphocytes, B lymphocytes, macrophages, and the NK cells. This causes prevention of disease such as stroke, heart disease, asthma, diabetes mellitus, arthritis, erectile dysfunction, and osteoporosis. In terms of aging, so aging is something that a lot of people are trying to achieve right now, healthy aging. So it helps in the telomeres. Telomeres are something which is very popular among doctors who give talks on healthy aging. Telomeres are something which is at the end of chromosomes. Chromosomes are inside the nucleus, which contains the DNA, and the shorter the telomeres, the more rapid the aging. Plant stem cells have a capacity to regenerate the telomeres. This increases the expression of a gene called the longevity gene, SIRT1. And also, it helps to increase lifespan by working on something called the insulin growth factor signaling pathway. So this is an example of a chromosome which is inside the nucleus. And all the DNA is inside the telomere, and the telomere, the longer the telomere, the longer the lifespan. The shorter the telomere, the shorter the lifespan. So plant stem cell has a capacity to keep on regenerating its telomeres over and over again as it faces various stresses. So this is a picture of the same person who's 30 years old and 100 years old. So for most people, they want to live till 100 years old, looking healthy and young. So in the plantain's ginsenosides, some of the ginsenosides contained in the plantain's product is RG3, RK1, RG5, RK2, RH2, and compound K. As you can see, they work on different ways to fight off cancer, diabetes, hepatitis, anxiety, liver problems, and other issues. The other ingredients are these acids, just safe to consume, as well as an additional ingredient of sea buckthorn. Sea buckthorn is known as the king of the desert or king of vitamin C, very powerful antioxidant. Aronia is also known as choke berries, and it's a king of the berries, also very strong antioxidant. And pomegranate is a king of the fruits, another very strong antioxidant. So in all, this sums up the benefit of how a combination of plant stem cell along with wild ginseng can be something which is very potent to help prevent disease, help prevent the spread of disease, and also protect our body, protect our cells, also give us a good antioxidant benefit. Nowadays, there's a lot of free radicals. When we go out, there's a secondhand cigarette smoke, there's car pollution. There's a lot of things, the food that we eat also has high amounts of pesticide inside. So we can't really run away from certain amount of stress that is going to be caused to our cells. So having a product which is high in antioxidant benefit will actually help to lengthen, prolong the lifespan, prevent disease, and improve the quality of life. Of course, a holistic approach with good exercise, good diet, good sleep always is more beneficial. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ashvin, for brief sharing on what is this CV8 all about and how it can help us in our health issue. Okay.
Yeah,
now,
sure.
Of course, we are open for Q&A now. If you do have any questions, you can type into your, what you call that, the chat, and we will answer you one by one. Now, if you do have any question, please do so to ask, because we have a doctor here, so he can give his personal opinion to whatever issues that you are having. Please feel free to ask questions now. Anything you want to ask? It is, okay, who is this? Okay, Florence. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, Florence, are you there?
Hi, yes. Good evening, Dr. Ashvin. Thanks for the
Hi,
good sharing.
Evening. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to find out if for a stroke patient that has been bedridden and is feeding on tube, so how can we recommend them to consume this CV8?
Okay,
is it possible?
So for CV8, the product is actually in a liquid form. So so being in a liquid form, tube feeding, you can pour the liquid into the tube. And through the tube feeding, the patient can consume the CV8. So the patient is not being able to take orally, right? Can't take through the mouth.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so CV8 can safely be put into the Ral's tube or the feeding tube, and through that modality, it can be consumed.
Okay. What kind of a dosage would you recommend?
Because it's a food product and a nutritional product, it's not specific to dosing, but the dosing would be dependent on how serious the condition is. So on average, a person like that, safe to say, can take about 2 to 3 sachets a day.
Okay, right. Thanks.
Welcome.
Okay, let's go for the second person. Let me see. Okay, someone called Na. The name's Na. Are you there?
Help a person with psoriasis.
Okay, Na, can you repeat the question again?
I would like to ask, how can CV8 help a person with psoriasis, the skin condition one?
Psoriasis.
Yes,
So,
psoriasis.
so psoriasis is actually a condition which is an autoimmune condition, and it's
Yes.
actually linked to the immune system. So ginseng being an adaptogen will help to calm down the immune system. In autoimmune conditions, the immune function, the body is actually attacking itself. So the body's own cells are attacking itself. So actually it calms down the immune system. When the immune system is more calm, it has a better capacity to handle stress, and that will help to reduce the inflammation. Less inflammation, the psoriasis tends to flare down. So that will be one of the mechanisms how it works.
Okay. Thank you very much, doctor.
Sure, sure.
Okay, Dr. Ashwin, we got a lot more questions here. Okay, James is asking, after consuming CV8, some of them will feel heaty. How to overcome all this problem?
So in general, I've been consuming the ginseng slices for a few years now, but I actually find that the ginseng slices are actually heatier than CV8. So in general, the CV8 contains more ginsenosides than the ginseng plant in general. So the heatiness is not as profound as consuming ginseng per se, but people have consumed like even 5 to 6 packets a day and not really had any issues. One way to counter the heatiness is to drink a lot of water, to hydrate. And especially with the weather right now, it will be good to drink at least about 3 liters of water to flush the system.
Okay, the next question is from someone from called RA. Okay, is CV8 ginseng beneficial for menopause women, and how?
So menopausal women generally face menopausal symptoms, which can be from hot flushes to sleeping difficulties, and also to mood changes sometimes, skin changes. The skin can be quite dry, and various other symptoms as well. So CV8, it helps both in the aspect of the menopausal symptoms, as in stabilizing the hormones, and it also will help in the aspect of the osteoporosis. The estrogen is something that is necessary to prevent osteoporosis, and menopausal women are generally more at risk of getting osteoporosis. So CV8, according to the studies for ginseng, it is very beneficial for helping osteoporosis. So it helps in both the hormonal aspect as well as the complications.
Okay, the next question is by a person called Paul Woon. Okay, he said that my lady customer has taken CV8 for 10 days and noticed that her hairs are dropping. How can you explain this?
It could be something to do with her maybe having a form of a healing crisis, which is actually quite rare because up till this point, CV8 has been around in the market for quite some time, and the only concern is sometimes people do feel a bit giddy when consuming more than about maybe 2 or 3 packets. But in general, there's no actual side effects like aggravating any other symptoms in the body. It could be incidental, but it could be a healing crisis, which sometimes can happen, which is usually just temporary and actually causing new hair to grow. According to the studies, ginseng is supposed to increase hair growth, not reduce it.
Okay, the next question is asking when you have flu or cold, can you drink this CV8?
Yes, actually, the company Plantel has done research on this, and very beneficial, especially for people who have a chronic condition with their nose, like allergic problems. So they're always having runny nose or sneezing or itchy nose, and they have taken ginseng and consumed it to help reduce these allergic symptoms, and also for just a one-off cold or flu, it can be used to boost up the immune system.
Okay, any more questions? RA say where can we buy the CV8 and what is the dosage for a 48 years old corporate male? For me, I will help Dr. Ashvin to answer this question. If
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
you will go back to whoever that invite you to come and attend this talk. Go back to him, and he will advise you on where to buy it, how much is it, and for normal healthy person, you can just consume 1 pouch per day is good enough. Now, if you do have any health issue, as what Dr. Ashvin has mentioned, it will be advisable to consume 2 to 3 pouch per day. Okay, each 1 pouch each time. Yeah.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, there is another another person asked, compare with those human and animal stem cell, what will you comment? I mean the CV8. You mean I think the question is trying to say that let's say if it is talking about the plant CMC stem cell as compared to human or animal stem cell, how will you comment about the difference? Or
so human animal stem cell versus plant stem cell, human and animal stem cell sometimes can be a little bit dangerous. It has to be done in a very sterile setting. They have to do it over many generations. For example, like when in Switzerland, they use, for example, rabbit stem cells or sheep stem cells. They have to very carefully control the environment. They have to do maybe about 10, 15 years of generation to make sure that there's no disease, no illnesses inside those animals. And then they have to culture it, and they have to prevent it from going into a person and causing a reaction. The chances of a reaction created can be higher. Plant stem cells are very safe in that sense. Like, they don't have these kind of diseases and illnesses that you see with the human and animal stem cell models. And also the safety for the body to receive it is basically there's no risk of side effects.
okay. And the next question is for Florence again. For cancer patient, when to consume CV8? Can it be during chemo or after chemo?
So this is a very interesting question. So the clinical studies show that the plantel's component, it works in different ways. CV8, it works for prevention of cancer. It can also help during a patient who has existing cancer. It can help to reduce the cancer spread of the primary tumor, of the spread of the cancer to other parts of the body. And it can also help during the chemotherapy to enhance the ability of the chemotherapy drug to be more effective. And it also reduces the side effects of the chemotherapy drug. But safe to say, I would personally recommend a person to complete their chemo and to consume the CV8 just after the chemo.
Okay. Doctor, this is just asking on behalf of a lot of people on this question. Now, for some people who are, taking warfarin or aspirin, yeah, CV8, as you know, contains a lot of vitamin K as well from Cibatong or even from pomegranate. Now, for those who are taking warfarin, is it safe for them to consume this product?
So from what I understand, CV8, it does not have a blood thinning property. So it has improved blood flow property, but does not have a blood thinning property. So it should not affect the people who are taking these medications like warfarin or aspirin.
Yeah. because they are concerned that there will be a lot of vitamin K. Vitamin K will
Sure,
actually
sure.
create the blood clotting. So it won't
Actually,
affect.
what CV8 contains is more of something called compound K, and compound K is compound K. Compound K is something which is quite anti-cancerous. According to the studies, compound K is one of the contents of ginseng, and CV8 contains compound K. But compound K is something that is not related to vitamin K. It's more for its medicinal property, more for anti-cancerous property, anti-dementia properties.
Okay.
So in terms of the blood thinning effect, it is safe.
Thank you, Doctor. Florence asks another question again. What about if a cancer patient chooses not to do chemo and just consume CV8? Can
Well, being from the medical background, I would say, listen to your doctor. If your doctor is a oncologist or a cancer doctor and he encourages you to go through chemotherapy and things like that, I would not recommend somebody to try other methods against the doctor's advice. It's always better to follow the doctor's advice, but use it as a adjuvant, alongside the treatment. Use it alongside the treatment. There have been clinical trial models with CV8 where the patient has refused medical treatment and used CV8 and have got benefits. But as a medical professional, I would recommend against that, and I recommend them to take both simultaneously.
Okay, Florence. Any more questions? Okay, there's one guy. Let me take a look. Just give me a second. Zaleha Abdullah. Okay.
Hello, Mr. Lee.
Okay. Hello. Hello, Zaleha. Yeah.
How are you? Okay. Now
Yeah.
I would like to ask doctor this question.
Okay.
For cancer patient, normally when you go through chemotherapy, the good cells are being bombarded as well, So can you use these drugs to help? Just now I came in late, sorry. I had something on. I heard you were saying, doctor, that you can take the CV8 simultaneously when you do the treatment, the chemotherapy.
The studies show that you can take CV8 along with the chemotherapy drugs, but personally, most oncologists would not recommend people to take supplements when going through chemo, because sometimes it interferes with the chemotherapy drug. So according to the studies, it does show that it improves the function of the chemotherapy drug, but I would advise people to complete their chemo, and after people complete their chemo, normally they start having the side effects, and that would be a good time to take the CV8 to reduce the side effects of the chemo.
Okay, and how soon is that? Immediately after the chemotherapy sessions?
Yeah, within a week of completing the chemo.
Okay, and how about, talking about the CV8, how about the,
Sure.
okay, Mr. Ling, listen, this one is about the IM laser. Would it help?
For cancer, you mean?
Yeah.
For cancer, same thing as the answer by Dr. Ashvin. For cancer patient, we do not encourage you to use it before or in the midst of chemotherapy. If you want to use it after complete the full chemotherapy, 2 months after the whole after the whole treatment, then you can start to use to boost out your immune system, restore your cell functions.
But how about can you use the light shining on to the wound?
Wound? For what wound?
Because
I mean
this particular case, the wound is outside, and this patient has not gone through any operations, but I understand that because of they want to arrest the local chemo affecting the part. So what the treatment was that they would try to kill off all the cells, but they found out that it is what happened if they find black spots in certain parts. Does it mean that the cancer is still active? You know that we are thinking of about the ATP lights shine onto the wound to help it to heal faster. I don't know whether it works or not that way, because you can use the IM laser for treating your face, facial.
Yeah,
You
correct.
know, when you got scar there, you use that and it helps to heal up the wound faster. So I wonder whether this is applicable to cancer wound or not, you know.
Cancer wound, if you talk about cancer wound, not encouraged to shine on it directly. Not encouraged. Yes, correct. You cannot do that. And for cancer patient, if they want to use IM laser, most usually our advice is complete the full treatment. Only then 2 months after the full treatment, you start using the IM laser device, so that it can speed up your recovery process. It boosts up your immune systems. And if you use together with the CV8, I think the result is even even better. Yeah.
So that's mean for this particular patient, what would you suggest is the CV8 yeah, doctor?
Yeah.
Or Mr. Ling?
I was if you ask the doctor or me, I think we will have the same answer. Both.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
Of course, both is after the full chemotherapy treatment.
Okay.
You start using,
You can take
both are effective, both the laser as well as the CV8, but ideally should be used after the treatment.
After the treatment, both, you know, CV8 and the IM laser.
Yes, correct.
2 months after that.
The CV8 you can start after 1 to 2 weeks. It will also help to reduce the side effects. But the IM laser, yes.
Side effect of the chemo treatment.
Yes, that's right.
All right.
And the laser can be used. Yeah, laser can be used later on.
Okay.
Okay, Zaleha. No problem. You're welcome. Next, we will have Rebecca. Let me unmute her first. Okay, Rebecca. Rebecca, are you there? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you have any question for Dr. Ashvin?
So far, no. I understand.
Okay.
No.
Okay. No,
I'm okay. No.
So Dr. Ashvin, another question for you. This forums asked actually, I believe you have heard about the deer placenta stem cell in the market. Can you elaborate this product? I.e., is the stem cell extract from the deer placenta, or what do you think about this deer placenta? It's nothing related with CV8, but doctor, if you do know, maybe you can help out.
So there are many stem cell products in the market right now. Some are from animal stem cell, and this probably is the only effective one from plant stem cell. But what I can comment about in terms of safety is plant stem cell is definitely a safe option. Regarding the effects, you may need to check specifically with companies regarding their effects with their clinical trials or with their patients or with their testimonies. But as far as CV8, the safety is there. So you got a safe product, and it's effective. And of course, things take time to achieve. So depending on how severe certain conditions are, it can range within weeks to months to achieve results.
Okay, Florence, you okay? Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? Any more questions? Because it's it's really very rare for us to have special speaker like Dr. Ashvin. He is very busy one. He is not available all the time one. Today he spent his time to share with us. So if you do have any question regarding this product or regarding any health issue, whether you can take this product or not, please feel free to do it now. Okay, there's one person. Just give me a second. Okay, I do not know what's the name. Start with number 165 something. Okay, hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes.
Doctor and Mr. Andrew, is it? Okay.
Yes,
I
correct.
just want to
Yeah.
inquire, by taking this CB8, will it in any way help to reduce the pain for sciatica or spondylitis? Yeah.
So, interesting question. Actually, you have to see what the root cause is. Sometimes in sciatica, spondylosis, it's actually impingement of the nerve, which is a physical problem, meaning to say that the bone itself has collapsed, and that might require treatments like physiotherapy, stretching exercises, acupuncture, chirotherapy, or even laser photobiomodulation. So if there is a physical problem involved, then the ability of CV8 might be limited to you also doing it alongside with other treatments, and then it will get a better effect. Yeah. But if the problem is purely inflammation, then CV8 is targeted towards reducing inflammation. So if the initial problem has already been addressed and it's purely a pain due to inflammation, then CV8 should be able to help. There are studies conducted on osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Any more questions? If no, then you will have to wait for a long time again to see Dr. Ashvin. Okay. Any more questions? Anyone? How does the CV8 complements the user of IM laser?
So actually, both work can work hand in hand. It's quite a holistic approach to improving health. Combine, like I mentioned earlier, good diet, good exercise, sufficient sleep, managing stress, taking a supplement like CV8 along with the IM laser. It's what I'm doing, and I think that it's very good to combine both these elements together. So they work on different aspects. The IM is more towards the ATP, the mitochondria. The CV8 is more to reducing inflammation, managing stress, managing the immune system, managing the hormone system. So they work in they both work in different areas, but they will complement each other using it together.
Okay. So can we say overall CV8 can help in all illnesses since it is also anti-cancer, reverse AIDS condition, etc.?
It can help in those conditions that I mentioned earlier in the slides, from heart conditions to stroke to Alzheimer's to osteoporosis to immune system problems, and a lot of studies done on cancer. So far, I don't think it can completely reverse AIDS, but it can help to improve the CD4 count. CD4 count is something that keeps the person's immune system up. But since you brought up this topic, very interesting fact about CV8 and wild ginseng is that they've done studies on people who have hepatitis B and hepatitis C, And they have actually noted that after a few months of consuming, the hepatitis status tends to change. So this is something which is quite unique because not many things out there are capable of doing this. But according to the studies, people who have a surface antigen positive, and which means to say that they are positive to spread the disease of hepatitis B, hepatitis C, they later on, after a few months of consuming, they have found that they have reversed this and they are surface antigen negative, and also their antibody in the body for hepatitis B from negative to become positive. So they not only help to change the status of the hepatitis B and C, but they also tend to improve their immune system against the virus.
Okay, Grace
Hope that
Ching
wasn't
actually.
too much to
sorry.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Grace Ching actually asked what kind of people cannot consume this CV8.
Well, so far as mainly the groups that are always high risk are patients who have a organ transplants. Yeah,
Hemophilia.
organ transplants and cancer patients, chemotherapy patients. So as far as patients who have organ transplants, I think they always have to be a little bit cautious because after they do an organ transplant, this is a very small group of people who do organ transplants, but nonetheless, when they take certain medicines after doing the organ transplant, they have to keep their immune system suppressed. So these group of people might have to be cautious consuming this. And as far as pregnancy, lactating women, safe. And patients with heart conditions, safe. Cancer patients, safe.
What about, doctor, what about those people with hemophilia?
Hemophilia, leukemia, safe.
Okay. Any more questions? If no, then I will have to let Dr. Ashvin go now. Because it's
I hope
really
everybody enjoyed the talk and managed to get some take-home message.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Dr. Ashvin. And of course, for those people who are interested in this product, please go back to the person that invite you here. The price of